Obesity rates among low-income preschoolers are dropping. This according to a new report from the Centers for Disease Control. 18 states reported a slight decline, but what's significant here is that it's the first decline in decades. So what does this mean for the battle against obesity in America? Here with me to discuss the issue is Catherine Talmadge, registered dietitian and president of Personalized Nutrition and author of Diet Simple, and Larry Solar, president and CEO of Partnership for a Healthier America. I want to start with some numbers from this report. 1 in 8 preschoolers in the United States is obese. 19 states and territories reported a decline in obesity among children, and an overweight or obese child is 5 times as likely as normal weight children to be an overweight or obese adult. Catherine, I want to start with you on this. We've seen this decline. It's 1 percentage point or so. What do you think this means? Where are we in terms of our fight against what Michelle Obama calls an epidemic of childhood obesity?
Well, Nia, this slight reduction is nothing short of miraculous.
Wow. Okay.
Because our food environment in the United States is as toxic as ever, with calorie-dense snack foods and fast foods even more available, cheaper than everywhere, cheaper than any time. People are sitting more than ever. Kids are at computers more than ever.
And playing video games more than ever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the environment creates obesity. So that's why I say this reduction seems miraculous to me.
Now, Larry, you have worked with the East Wing, Michelle Obama, with their Let's Move campaign. How do you see her efforts fitting into this recent report on childhood obesity?
I think it's been incredibly productive, and what we've seen is the result of public policy changes, more interest in the issue from the American people, more activity from the private sector. And I think what Michelle Obama has been doing by talking about this issue all the time when she's out on the road from Washington, American families are listening and paying attention. And I think that's a critical part of us to make continued progress. I'm also really excited about this new data. After decades of seeing the obesity rates rise, we're finally beginning to see some very promising results.
So it seems that Michelle Obama is obviously part of this effort, but also we've had some other folks weigh in on healthy eating. Take a look at this soundbite.
Cookie! Oh, me so hungry. Yeah. What should me eat? Fruit or cookie? Fruit or cookie? Fruit, cookie, fruit, cookie. Oh, this tough decision.
Now, the funny thing about that clip is that Cookie Monster, in the end of that clip, actually picks the cookie rather than the fruit. But how do you see sort of other factors at play here in lowering this rate, Catherine? Yeah. I mean, it seems to me that Michelle Obama was part of a whole movement that began much before she got into the White House.
The fact that lower income children are less obese tells me that things are happening in homes, in families, with parents, with teachers, and at schools. Because we live in this obesogenic society where being overweight or obese is the norm.
Yeah. Obesogenic. I didn't realize that was a word.
Right. Well, yes. Okay. So it's a word that we use in the field a lot. Okay. It means that we live in a society where the norm is to be overweight or obese. That's what happens to you if you don't make an effort. So this reversal, as slight as it is a sign that parents, families, teachers, and schools are making a huge effort. This is not an accident.
Right.
You can only lose weight or reverse a weight problem by working at it.
And so, Larry, you are part of these efforts from Michelle Obama. She tweeted earlier today saying that, you know, they're obviously part of this. What else are we going to see from your organization out of the East Wing from Michelle Obama?
Yeah, well, I think you're going to be seeing us continuing to work on changes in the private sector. So what we want to do is we want to see businesses where Americans are shopping at every day or using the goods and services continue to make changes to offer healthier options for American families. And whether it's our work with grocery stores and grocers like Walmart, who
Right.
are reformulating the food that they sell to reduce calories, or it's our work with Nike, who are investing in physical activity programming, $50 million over the next 5 years. Every time that American family kind of goes through the day, we want to see them have an increasing amount of healthy options. And we think that that is going to be one part of this community coming together to really solve this problem.
And Catherine, how do you sustain this? It's 1 percentage point. One of the things I know that Michelle Obama has tried to do is to address the problem of food deserts, where if you live in certain communities, there isn't any food available. And I know in your book, here it is here, you talk about the importance of fruit and having those sorts of foods. I mean, how do you sustain these recent drops?
Well, one thing that this decline represents is the impact of small changes. Just eating more fruits and vegetables alone will help people maintain their weight or lose weight and will keep children healthier. So that's one tiny change that Mrs. Obama has been talking about ever since she's been in office.
And what do parents need to do? Is it just have fruit on the table?
Eat more fruits and vegetables at every meal. In fact, the recommendation is half of what's on your plate, half of the volume of every meal, every time you eat, should be a fruit or a vegetable.
Right. Larry, you know, I've been in schools recently here in Southeast and noticed that the lunches that they offer very, very different from the sort of pizza and Skittles and Coca-Cola lunches that I used to have and delight in when I was in high school. But the kids, they blame Michelle Obama. They literally say this is Michelle Obama's fault, and a lot of them aren't even eating these like tuna fish sandwich and celery lunches. What's your response to that?
Well, I think there's going to be some time that it's going to take for, first of all, for the changes to be fully implemented, the changes that were approved by Congress a few years ago. And I think what we're beginning to see is we're beginning to see a whole new generation of kids that are beginning to appreciate different types of food than maybe we were used to eating as kids. And we're beginning to see that. We work with companies like Bright Horizon, organizations like the YMCA, who have agreed to ensure that the kids in those daycare programs are receiving fruits and vegetables at every meal and no sugar sweetened beverages and healthy items. And we're hearing terrific reports from that. So I think that this will continue to grow and gain. And I think it will be accepted as though it were everything we're all used to.
Catherine, what else do you want to see? Again, we focus a little bit on the school lunch changes and the First Lady's efforts. What else does our obesogenic, is that what it is, society need to continue these trends?
More physical activity. And this reversal is also a sign that children are more active. Schools are beginning to see the value of keeping gym classes and recess. And also, doctors are beginning to talk to children and parents about watching TV less, less computer time, less time sitting in the classroom, in cars, in front of computers, in front of televisions. And you know, just an added 15 minutes of physical activity per day can produce a 10-pound weight loss in a year. It just illustrates the importance of small changes in families. A small change like adding more fruits and vegetables, just a little more physical activity, a little less TV time can make a huge difference for children. And what parents do and teachers do is critical because they are the models of the behavior. Children just copy what the adults in their environment do.
Yeah, and they eat what's in the house. I mean, I know my mom would not give us Fruit Loop cereal. I was very upset about that, but you know, I had to eat fruit and fiber instead. Larry, what can Washington do? What more can Washington do? You hear some people saying, you know, we've arrived at the nanny state. The federal government is trying to force us to eat our broccoli when we would rather eat a Snickers candy bar. What role do you see for the federal government and our politicians and elected leaders beyond the First Lady?
Yeah, well, let me say, I mean, generally speaking, we're not seeking to force, not anyone's seeking anyone to force anyone to do anything. We're seeking healthier options for families. And in all too many cases, those options just aren't available. So what we've seen over the last couple of years, changes in school lunch to bring healthier options there. We've seen investments in building grocery stores in areas with low access, and we need to continue. There needs to be investments so that children in school can have PE again and recess, things that we took for granted growing up that are going away. And so we're trying to work as much as we can individually with school districts and around the country with states to make sure that those schools have resources and have the technical expertise to begin to bring some of these healthier options into their schools. But the more that we can do at the federal, state, and local level to provide the support that's needed to carry that on is going to be critical moving forward.
Great. Thank you so much, Larry Soler from Partnership for a Healthy America, and Catherine Talmadge, a dietitian and author of this book. Thanks so much for talking to me today.